and way up in the Northern Valley in Lancaster. We've also got a fully accredited online school. We've got a burgeoning homeschool program called iLead Exploration. They don't like me to call it homeschool. It's independent study, but you know what I mean. But you can visit us at ileadschools.org for information about that home study program or the online school or your hybrid options or our fully classroom-based schools. That's ileadschools.org. We've got an option for whatever your child's educational needs are. And remember, we are the private school experience with the public school price. So yeah, we've got our eye on education in Santa Clarita and across the nation, but like the show says, we keep our eye on the Valley as well, bringing you everything that you need to know about what's what here in the Valley. But, all work and no play makes Frogger a dull boy, so we take a little time to goof and giggle and to play around a little and have some fun time while we keep you informed of what's going on here in the Valley. Wow. Great morning show today. That Delgado really puts on a great show, and he gets all the best guests. But don't you go sleeping on Eye on the Valley. We've got some pretty amazing guests for you this morning, too. In just a moment, we'll speak to the school leaders at SCVi Charter School. Their enrollment lottery is today, the most exciting day of the year at SCVi. They've got over 100 families clamoring to get into their school next year, and this afternoon, they'll all know who is in. Because after all, like I said, they offer the private school experience at a public school price. And in hour number 2 on today's show, we've got City Council member Jason Gibbs joining us. There's a lot going on around town, and we need to get caught up on it. So the councilman will be joining us here in the studio, and then we'll finish the show, like we do, with fun facts, terrible life advice, and trivia with Big T. You know, I would say that nobody likes Big T very much, but I know that the Councilman Gibbs is a big fan for whatever reason. So maybe he'll stick around and play with us too. And you know what? You can play along too. So you need to stick around as well. It's going to be a great show. So let's do this. My first guests this morning are both experienced educational leaders with roots right here in the city, the ciudad of Santa Clarita. Martha Spansel-Pellico earned her bachelor's degree in English and her secondary teaching credential from the Master's College, and her master's degree in educational leadership and her administrative credential from the University of Laverne. I'm feeling like that's a run-on sentence, but there's no punctuation here on the air. She's got 17 years experience in school administration, and all of her 23 years experience are at local schools from district to charter here in Santa Clarita. And her partner, Chad Powell, earned his bachelor's degree and teaching credential from Fresno State. He is a bulldog. And his master's degree and administrative credential from Cal State Northridge, which makes him a grad matador. And like Martha, he's served at local schools for over 20 years with extensive administrative experience. And the two of them lead Santa Clarita's first classroom-based charter school and the city's only public comprehensive school serving grades TK through 12th grade. I'm talking about SCVi, Santa Clarita's private school experience at a public school price. Martha and Chad, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Hey, Matt. Good to be here.
Good to talk to you. Chad, Martha, we normally start the interviewers by getting to know a little bit about our guests and where they've come from. But the two of you have been on the show so often, I feel like if our listeners don't know you by now, where have they been? So let's just jump straight into it. The two of you have been co-directors at SCVi since 2021. So for listeners who might be unfamiliar with SCVi, could you give us a brief overview of the school and its unique approach?
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. I mean, you kind of summed it up there. That private school experience, public school cost. What we try to do is we take a unique approach to education. We'll talk more about it, I think, probably as we go. But really, at the center of everything that we're doing is we really want to maintain an individualized approach with kids. We want to focus on connection with kids and families, and then some of our vehicles for that are project-based learning, focus on social-emotional learning, full inclusion. But when you take a look at our programs and you come into our school, you'll see that we have some significant differences between us and the local neighborhood schools. While also maintaining, though, the same level of teacher credentialing, standards-based instruction, and these things.
Fantastic. So I talked about you guys being a comprehensive school, meaning you offer TK through 12th grade. You've got 4-year-olds all the way up to seniors in high school in such a beautiful mix. But what are some of the benefits that you're seeing of your learners being able to attend the same school all the way from transitional kindergarten through 12th grade?
Well, I think the most practical thing is we're the only school in the valley that has one drop-off if you have multiple age children in your family. One of the things I think I like the most about it is we really get to know the families, and we really build a relationship with them and are able to serve them, I think, in a more unique way because we see the learners' growth from TK through senior year.
Yeah, and don't sleep on that single drop-off. I've heard parents at barbecues complaining about, I got to drop off at 3 different schools at 3 different times. Yeah, that is a great benefit that I never really thought of. Follow-up sneaky question here. I know this has been in the news a little bit lately. Your TK and your kinder program, are those, I know a lot of inquiring families want to know, are those full-day programs, or with the littles, are you doing half-day?
So with the TK, it is half day.
Okay.
They will start their day at 8:30 and they end at 12:45. For our kinder, it will be full day. I know that some of the other schools in the valley are switching over to kinder half day. We're going to maintain that kinder full day program.
Okay, fantastic. So you're doing half day TK. So the babies, the 4-year-olds, they're gone at lunch, but the kinder is around full day. Good to know. So with the globalization of, well, gosh, it seems like everything nowadays, families in America have really realized the huge value in bilingualism. You know, that was something that kind of dropped off the radar for about 100 years here in America. But bilingualism is back, and I know you all offer a dual language immersion program. What can you tell me about the DLI, the dual language immersion program at SCVi Charter School?
Well, we have teachers from Spain that we bring over. We partner with the ministry from Spain. In fact, we actually have some interviews later on today. All right. And we bring those teachers over from Spain to teach our learners in half English and half Spanish. And it is an immersion program for half of the day. And it's from TK through 5th grade.
Fantastic, and I love our 5th graders wandering around with that little Spanish accent. So that is absolutely beautiful. So you're doing, did you say TK or kinder through 5th grade, Martha?
Kinder, excuse me.
Kinder, yeah.
Kinder through 5th grade, and then we have the Spanish elective as they move into the middle school.
Okay, fantastic. So gosh, if you go kinder through 12th grade at the same school with Spanish, I can guarantee you're going to be bilingual by the time you graduate high school. Now, we talked, and Chad, you touched on it a little bit, the model that SCVi is known for, your educational model of project-based learning with that social-emotional focus. So could you describe your vision for the school and how it sets SCVi apart from traditional educational models?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Our vision for the school is that we want to center connection. It goes into every single thing that we do. We want to make sure that if you're at this school, the primary thing that you're going to live and breathe is that we want to connect with your kids. We want your kids to connect with our teachers connect with families. We want to create this environment where no one is lost, no one falls through the cracks. Everyone is seen in every aspect of our school. Some of the vehicles, like I mentioned before, that are going to be unique to us is our emphasis on project-based learning. In fact, you'll even notice when you tour our school that we don't even have individual desks. All of our kids, TK through 12, are sitting at tables, and that's because a good part of their day every day is working on projects with their peers. We know that these projects, they develop interpersonal skills. We know, like collaboration and communication, they have to learn how to problem solve, work together. And these are all skills which are in demand out in the workforce and out into industry, as well as being a good member of our community. Projects really start with an interesting question. So instead of starting with the premise of these are the standards that we have to teach, and we still teach those standards, instead we start with what is a compelling, interesting question, and then our teacher works the standards into the projects and allow the kids to explore that. And just touching just very briefly on the SEL, When we say we take a whole child approach to education, we take that seriously. We understand that when kids show up, they don't just bring their academic curiosity. They bring everything that happened in the morning on the car ride in, everything else that's going on, their peer relationships. And so what our SCL is really is helping kids learn how to think in healthy ways, not to catastrophize, to be able to put things into different contexts, to focus on perseverance and resilience, and work through those things. So those are a couple things that if someone were to tour our school would probably be some of the things that would jump out right away.
Wow, very well put. Yeah, social emotional learning is more than just be a nice person, and so important that those skills that, like you said, the kids are learning. One thing I've never heard spoken at your school, Chad, is when are we going to use this in the real world? Because that project-based learning approach combined with social emotional learning, it really is real-world learning. So can you give people an example so that they know kind of what you're talking about? It sounds like, yeah, absolutely, this is what companies are hiring for. This is what leaders value. But can you give some examples of what kind of projects are happening at your school that have had a significant impact on student learning and development?
Yeah, recently our third graders, we talk about trying to create a project that's timely and interesting and gets their imagination going, and especially at our school where we have an emphasis on aerospace, engineering, as well as the arts. Our third graders recently did a project where they were in science, they were learning about space and they were learning about Mars, and so they created Mars rovers. And so they even built little Mars rovers that they presented back to their families and community members. They presented them also to our school board. But they had to use pieces of their science, social studies. They had to use a good amount of writing. And they created these little Mars rovers that were impressive and very creative. When you saw the sort of things they built into their rovers, they were about scientific exploration on Mars and understanding the physics and the geology and the chemistry of Mars.
That is really cool. And I saw the pictures of that. It looked like so much fun. I'm sorry I couldn't be there that day. Wow. Now, project-based learning, it inherently requires kids to be independent. It's inherently a personalized curriculum, and I know that's a huge part of what you all do is make sure that every individual learner gets a personalized learning experience. I've heard people say, mostly your learners, your students, that to be successful at SCVi, you've got to be independent. You've got to have initiative. So what are the benefits of that? And then are there some potential drawbacks maybe of having a curriculum that requires kids to be very independent?
Yeah, I think it really helps kids develop 21st century skills. As Chad shared earlier, we have tables in the classrooms. We do a lot of group work and a lot of collaboration where the learners are actually problem solving. They're communicating with each other, and there's a really essential skills that they're going to use at any college or in any workplace. It also taps in, and Mr. Powell talked about this as well, it taps into their natural curiosity and their natural interests, and it helps them to just develop that area that they're interested in, which helps make the learning real for the learners.
Okay, and then is there anything that can be a drawback? Is it a challenge for kids? Is there like an adjustment period? Because I remember when I was teaching at SCVi, I had one student who was really, really smart, but she kept wanting me to tell her what to do.
Right. I mean, with everything, I mean, you could look at what are going to be the challenges with it. I think that anytime we have kids that are working in groups or projects, there has to be an element, first of all, of communication. And none of these are actually negative things, but they're things that as people, we don't always just come pre-programmed to know how to do these things. Being able to communicate effectively with each other, being able to set boundaries and expectations for each other. Also, really taking on a personal responsibility for either your project or your part of the project as kids are developing over time, that becomes a skill that they need to learn, and it's a skill that we work actively to develop in them, to take an ownership of their own education.
That's a really great point, Chad. These are skills that are going to help everyone be successful. So why would you wait to teach them to your children, and wait until when? Is this something that they're supposed to learn in college or after college? I know plenty of adults that struggle with these skills. Why wouldn't we teach them to our 5-year-olds, our 10-year-olds, our 15-year-olds? Well, we're talking I'm sorry, go ahead.
Right, yeah. No, I'm saying that's exactly right. I mean, I think, I've been in schools, running schools and teaching and administrating for close to 30 years now. And in many ways, we create an artificial environment for kids to be successful in, and they learn to play the game of school. But so often, they don't develop those skills in which they're going to need to thrive at college, and then even more so in the workforce and out in the community.
You're spot on. You are spot on. We're talking to Martha Spansel-Pellico and Chad Powell, the school directors at SCVi. Martha, I know you've got to break out and take care of some things, but Chad, you drew the short straw this morning. You're sticking around for another segment, right?
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah.
All right. We will be right back with Chad Powell, school director at SCVi, free public charter school offering grades TK through 12. It's enrollment lottery day at SCVi today. We'll talk about that in just a moment. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi, and I lead schools' Eye on the Valley, and you are listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. And if you have been listening all morning, you know my brother's in the studio here with me, and he just he smuggled us in some breakfast. So come out of that break with a little bit of a jalapeno cheese sausage croissant in my mouth. But I digress. I'm joined this morning by Chad Powell, school director at SCVi Charter School over on the west side of Santa Clarita, just off of Newhall Ranch Road at the 5 freeway. Chad, we were talking before the break about kind of the mission, the vision, the model, the background of your school. We talked a lot about project-based learning, and we touched on social-emotional learning and how important it is. You know, it's 2025, and every school is talking about social-emotional learning after the pandemic. We all know how important it is to tend to our kids, not only their academic needs, but their social and emotional needs as well. But y'all have been doing it for a long time and doing it right. So can you share a little bit more about how SCVi integrates social-emotional learning into the daily school experience rather than just doing a quick 15-minute lesson each day?
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that. And even in a lot of places, even a quick 15-minute lesson isn't really what a lot of students get around the state. What we do is TK all the way through 12th grade. We have time set not only part of the day, where we set aside part of the day, but we integrate into lessons when appropriate and when things come up, these ideas around social-emotional learning. And I know that the phrase social-emotional learning can take on a lot of different meanings right now, and I mentioned earlier, the way that we refer to it is really just thinking in a healthy way. We're dealing with young people that they've only been on the planet for 10 years, right? Or teenagers, the first time they're going through all of these different experiences as they're approaching adulthood, and for our little ones, the first time they've really had to be in cooperative environments with other people, and so for them, everything is brand new. They don't have a frame for it. So what we do is we give them that frame. We help them think through issues. We help them learn how to communicate and help each other. We learn how to, again, not to catastrophize things, right, to understand that we can control our thinking on how we respond to things. And so one of the benefits of this focus on social-emotional learning is to also understand that there's all sorts of people throughout the world that think differently than we do and have different advantages and challenges. And one of the things that we're doing actually coming up is an Autism Awareness Week, where we're talking about what it means to be on the spectrum there, and then also we're having some fun events, and one of them is Inclusion at the Disco.
Fantastic. Inclusion at okay, so a play on one of my favorite bands, Panic at the Disco. That is amazing. Can you tell me a little bit about Inclusion at the Disco during your Autism Awareness Week?
Right. And so, we understand that, people will experience autism in lots of different ways. But one of the common threads is often a high sensitivity to noise and change and these sort of things.
Right.
So one of the fun things about the disco is that it's a silent disco, meaning that kids are wearing headphones and they are listening to the same music, or they can be listening to different music, and they're interacting and having a dance. And it's a funny thing to walk into, because you walk into a room full of kids and teens, and they're all dancing, and there's a DJ, but it's quiet, but not for them.
Right.
Because they're listening, and so it's a fun activity that caps off a fun week of activities all about around inclusion and awareness and learning how to make friends and learning how to overcome differences in perception.
I love that. And yeah, you talk about kids that are on the spectrum and go into a dance, the noise can be an issue. And at a silent disco, they're able to turn down their volume, turn up their volume. What a beautiful event. Inclusion at the Disco, part of Autism Awareness Week at SCVi. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I really need to give a big shout out to Janae Coleman, our lower school counselor, who has been the lead on this, and she's doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Bless you, Janae. So, gosh, Chad, I'm sure it's going to be hard to answer this one, because just the things that you've talked about already, there's so many different things. But my next question is, what's the most rewarding thing about working at SCVi for you anyways? I stumped him.
Well, that can be. You're right. That can, because there are so many things here.
Yeah.
For me, in my position here as leading the school, what I think I most appreciate from that lens is the agility that we have. The fact that we're purposefully a small school, and then built into our charter and built into what we value is an ability to quickly implement the best thinking in education. That we are not held hostage to past practice. If someone has a good idea in the morning, we can make it policy in the afternoon. We can see what the needs are of our learners, and we can quickly respond to those needs. So from a school leadership perspective, that's something that I enjoy. But from a larger perspective, and what really drew me to SCVi was this idea of an individualization of learning, of connecting, of putting connection at the center of what we're doing. And if we do that, everything else is going to follow. So that small community experience where you do feel like you're a big part of what's happening, that's a special thing, and something that is intentional here.
Yeah, you know what I fell in love with when I first started working at SCVi is the ability to do what I knew that my students needed, without having my hands tied by bureaucracy or policies in a major system. So, Chad, I know today is a big day at your school. It is lottery day. So, for those who aren't as aware, can you explain what your enrollment lottery is and the whole process?
Yeah, it is a big day for us. So in each year, and today is lottery day, we have a lottery for the people that are they're interested in attending our school for next year. We have only a certain number of spots that are open at each grade level, and so with so many people applying, we have a lottery. We're excited to connect with the people that receive a seat. We have a nice reception that will be coming up in a week or so to celebrate with them on getting a seat here, and it is a big day.
Yeah, and it's a day full of emotions. I remember, especially early on, you pull a family's name and they get so excited, and there's cheers and tears of joy. But then, as you start to fill in a wait list, there's also those families that might get a little disappointed if they're put on the wait list. And we always try to, put our arm around them and say, it's okay. That wait list sometimes goes pretty quickly. Hold on, don't give up hope. And there's so many families that would tell me, remember when you told me don't worry, the wait list isn't a bad thing? So let's talk about that. If the lottery's today, does that mean that families would be too late to submit an application for next school year at SCVi?
Not exactly. So
Okay.
it would be too late now to get your name in for the lottery, but
Okay.
not too late to submit an application because there is the wait list, what you talked about there,
Right.
Matt. And so what happens is that if you miss the lottery and you submit that application, it's possible that a family that had that was selected in the lottery, things change, they move out of the area, something happens,
I see.
and that spot opens up. We do work closely with the families when they're waitlisted to try to get them in and to try to make adjustments we really do try to get everybody in. And so when you're on that wait list, it's only the next step in the story. It's not the end.
Okay, yeah, and I know what families do. There's some savvy families out there. They will submit applications in several different schools, kind of like you do with college, and then wait to see where you get in, and then make a choice. So you're right. There are families that'll say, okay, we've got the spot, but we've moved on to a different area, moved on to a different school. The wait list does move sometimes kind of quickly. So since we're talking about it, Chad, where do families get more information, or where can they fill out an application?
Yeah, the easiest place is just to go to our website. To go there, and they can get all the information that they need about the school. They can also give us a call or just stop in and speak with us. We also run tours often where people can see the school, and we try to make it as easy as possible for people to connect with us.
And you guys do a great job with those tours. That is ileadsantaclarita.org. It's so much easier. Just Google SCVi. That's short for Santa Clarita Valley International. Google SCVi. They're always the top hit. Click on their website up in the upper right-hand corner. I'm looking at it right now. You can click on Enroll Now to fill out the enrollment application, or you can click on the option to take a tour if you're not sure. But I will give you some advice. Fill out the application first. Like I said, there's no fee to apply. There's no cost involved at all. If you change your mind after a tour, then you just pull your application. But yeah, you can take a tour, you can fill out the application, you can do all those different things at ileadsantaclarita.org, or just Google SCVi. Talking this morning with Chad Powell, the school leader at SCVi Charter School. Chad, these days high schools are working really hard to prepare kids for not only college, but get them prepared for a career. I know some schools are starting to develop what are known as CTE pathways, where students are receiving career training in high school. That's short for Career Technical Education. Oftentimes you'll hear about career preparation in auto mechanics. They had that when I was in school, or carpentry or something like that. But as usual, SCVi takes a very innovative and cutting-edge approach to career technical education. Tell me about your professional theater CTE pathway, Chad.
Absolutely. This is one of the ones that we have a really strong partnership with COC, like you had mentioned there. And we also have our own staff to be able to kids that are interested in the arts, especially if they're interested in anything having to do with theater or stage production or these things. And we do, obviously, here in the Valley have a strong connection with the film industry. And so this gives the opportunity not only to express creativity there in that program, get high school credit, work towards that CTE certificate, but it also gives them the chance to network and make connections and internships as well. And that CTE certificate, that Career Technical Education certificate, it does show whether they're going to be applying to a university, wanting to pursue something in theater arts, or if they're wanting to go directly into the industry. That certificate tells the admissions people or the employers that this person already has a good amount of training in this, and they're starting with some knowledge already.
Well, yeah, and right out of high school, if you're partnering with COC, they've already got college experience in that career pathway. That's amazing. And, families need to remember that, well, if they've lived in Santa Clarita, they know we're in that TMZ, right? That 30-mile zone for Hollywood. So
Yes.
A perfect match for our community.
Right.
And then this year, Chad, I know you launched a new CTE. Again, that's Career Technical Education Pathway that got quite a bit of press around town. Tell us about the aerospace pathway and how did that go this year?
Yeah, we're very excited about that. And so we qualified for a very large, strong workforce grant to help get that program started. And we took a look around as a charter school. One of the things that you do is you look at the educational landscape of your local community, and you think, okay, well, where are the gaps? Where can we step in? What could we add value to with what's happening? And although the aerospace industry has been and continues to be a huge cultural and economic force in Southern California, there's no other CTE program around aviation and space.
Right.
And so we brought together, we asked them to come, and they were very generous, representatives from NASA and the aerospace industry. We had a great luncheon. And what they explained to us is that the area within this that is growing tremendously has to do with piloting unmanned aircraft, drones.
Oh, yeah.
And so we built our CTE program around drones and learning about aviation and drones. And remember, our aviation program does go TK through 12. We're talking here specifically, though, about the high school CTE portion. And just to add an element of fun to it, we are also joining a drone soccer league. We have an arena.
Nice.
And the kids will be practicing flying drones. And if they go successfully through our program and earn our certificate, it will put them that much closer to a career in aviation and specifically building or flying drones.
Wow. And I know in Santa Clarita, we've got over 70 companies that focus on different areas of aerospace engineering, manufacturing, things like that. So those jobs are not out there. They're right here. Thousands of jobs here in Santa Clarita in the aerospace industry. You're doing a great job preparing kids for high-paying, relevant jobs right here in their community. And you mentioned that your pathway goes TK through 12th grade. Chad, last year you threw down the gauntlet at the end of the year, about this time of year, to your teaching staff and said, I want a project, at least one project in every grade level in aerospace throughout the course of this year. That was your priority this year. That was amazing. I know your staff really stepped up and they brought in hot air balloons and glider projects, and you've got a group that's sending an experiment to space here in about a week and a half. So as you're looking forward to next year, have you got a new gauntlet that you're throwing down? Any new exciting priorities? What have you got coming up for next school year?
We got a lot of irons on the fire over here on that one, and we were very successful in introducing those projects, kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, and we had a lot of great projects. In fact, I just went into a 6th grade classroom the other day, and you walk in, and there's all of these, the kind of the thin bags that are kind of like waste paper basket bags, but a little bit larger, and they were floating around the room powered by toasters. That was kind of fun to see, and they were talking about flight and those sort of things. So that's happening all over the place, and we're going to continue to put a strong emphasis on that, on the STEM and the engineering. But an area that I would like to see us return our attention to and add even more energy into it is our high school arts program. I spoke a little bit about that, and we are partnering with COC. In fact, we have our talent show that's going to be coming up, I think, next Friday, and there's going to be some pretty amazing talent that's going to be in there. But we're going to really be looking at expanding our arts offerings at the high school. That's a high priority for us for next year.
Oh, fantastic. Gosh, so this year was a year of aerospace. Next year is a year of expansion and further connections with our friends over at COC. That is very exciting. It's an exciting time at SCVi. And think about it. Again, your kids can go to the same school for 14 years in a row, TK through 12th grade, all for free. Because, again, SCVi is that private school experience at the public school price. So, Chad, I got to think that families are starting to think about, and as we mentioned, enrollment lotteries today, if you're just starting to think about where your kid's going to school next year, you're a little late, but not too late. Chad, one more time, how can listeners get more information on your school, sign up to take a tour, or even fill out the enrollment application?
Right. The easiest thing is just to take out your phone and, go to our website and just, take a look at where we're at on that. It has all the information right there for you. But I would, as nice as that website is and as easy as it is to access, I really don't think you get the full idea of what we're doing here unless you come and take a look. I'm always very proud to show this school. I feel like this school really sells itself to people. You come in, you tour it. We show you when it's happening live. We'll take you through classrooms that are actively that are going on in that moment. And when you take a look at it, I think you'll really understand what it is that sets us apart.
You're absolutely right. The school really does sell itself. You've got to get in and take a tour. But again, like I said, hack if you're looking for where your kid needs to go to school next year. Go to SCVi's website, ileadsantaclarita.org. Fill out an enrollment application. There's no fee to apply. There's no fee to attend. There's no fee whatsoever. We're a public school. Fill out the application, then sign up to take a tour. Go take a tour, and if you're excited about it as I am, then you'll wait on bated breath for that email letting you know that your kid got in. And if you decide against it, you can always pull that application. That's ileadsantaclarita.org, offering a private school experience at a public school price. Chad, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate your time. I know you've got a lot to do with your kids, with your staff today. You have a great day and a wonderful weekend. Take care.
All right. Hey, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
No problem. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. Once again, that is ileadsantaclarita.org, or just Google SCVi. We will be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. And I've, we just talked to the directors, Martha and Chad, out at SCVi Charter School. Today is enrollment lottery day at SCVi, and so they're super excited. But I've got a new guest here live in studio with me, but he's no guest. It's show contributor Big T. Big T, welcome back.
Good morning, Maddie. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I say welcome back because you and I crashed Delgado's show early this morning, but...
we're crashing all the shows on the station.
We're crashing all the shows on the station. Watch out, Rich. But Big T, you dipped for a little while. You didn't stick around for Chad and Martha's interview. What gives?
I went to get some breakfast.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. Those of you watching us on Facebook Live, see what Big T brought me as a surprise.
Big T also had a business call.
Okay, Big T's got business to take care of. But you'll learn a little bit more about that when I introduce Big T formally at the end of the show. But Big T, in just a little bit, we're going to be interviewing Councilman Gibbs. He's going to be actually coming in, so he may need your seat. Well, we've got another one over here. You going to stick around for Councilman Gibbs' interview?
Of course, I wouldn't miss it.
Tony, you going to be on your best behavior?
Mostly.
Come on, don't embarrass me in front of the councilman. Okay. All right, so Tony, I wanted to ask you something. You and I got cut off because, well, as it does, your phone rang yesterday. I scooped you up from the airport, and we were heading over to Mom's house because you are Mom's favorite. But you pointed out something as we were driving that really, well, it got up under your skin, as they say.
It did.
Can you tell us what happened? Something really bothered you yesterday.
Yeah, it was at the intersection of is that Newhall Ranch Road and
McBean,
McBean coming down, and there was somebody on a scooter, actually a Vespa or a moped, in the crosswalk.
Yeah, it was like a Vespa scooter, yeah.
Yeah, and heading in the wrong direction, on the wrong side of the street, on the crosswalk and sidewalk. And I'm like, man, they're going to take somebody out, or they're going to get taken out by a car that's not even paying attention. And it just got up underneath my skin.
Yeah, like you said, and it took me a while to notice it. But yeah, he was on the Vespa on the sidewalk. So what are are you allowed to do that? Is that legal?
No, that's not legal. Okay,
that's not legal. But I see a lot of motorized things on the sidewalks lately. This is like an upgraded moped, and I know mopeds are considered motor vehicles. They're not supposed to be on the sidewalk.
Yeah, a moped it's considered, it's classed just like a motorcycle. You need a motorcycle license to drive one.
Okay,
but then they've got those electric bikes and almost those hyped up electric bikes that you see a lot of kids on. We saw one by the post office yesterday.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't an e-bike. It's almost like a pseudo. It looks like a little motorcycle, and there were some kids riding those around the mall a little while back, and then there was a tragedy that happened there afterwards. But yeah, you've got the electric scooters, you've got the electric bikes,
and those things will do 30, 40 miles an hour in some cases. But they're bicycles, but they've got an electric motor, so those aren't allowed on the sidewalk either.
Technically, no. Those should be in the bike lane.
Okay, so let's keep going because those aren't the only things with motors. What about those? They're popular downtown, like those Limes. You put your credit card in the scooter. Mm-hmm. Looks like a little Razor scooter, but it's got a motor too.
I don't know what the legality is, but they're frowned upon being on a sidewalk. Sidewalks are for pedestrians. And I do see some of the signs because Big T does have an e-bike.
Oh.
And I do see the signs that no electric vehicles on the sidewalks or the bike paths or those things. They don't like those things with motors that sneak up on people that fast.
Right. So, so on those electric scooters, on those e-bikes, all that stuff, you're supposed to be in the bike lane or in the lanes of traffic. What about those hoverboards? Can you ride the hoverboards on the sidewalk, or do you have to be in a bike lane on a hoverboard?
Big T does not get around those hoverboards. It's not a good news.
I saw a hoverboard take down Mike Tyson. I thought, if it could take down the champ, it's taking down Frogger.
However, when I was on a business trip in San Antonio, I did rent one of those bird scooters. And as I was driving one around the streets of downtown San Antonio, and as I came up on a traffic light, there were like 5 guys all out of town, and they were up in front, stopped at the light. And I came kind of just right up behind them. Guy next to me looks over at me and he goes, "Hey, want to be in our gang?"
I love it. You know, I remember the time that we were in Pismo and you and I both rented one of those e-bikes, and people kept asking us if we were the guys from the back of the Guinness Book of World Records book.
Right.
Geez. So what about Razor scooters? No motor on it. Are those allowed to be on the sidewalk?
I would think those are allowed on a sidewalk. You got the Razor scooters. You got a skateboard. No problem with those on a sidewalk.
Yeah, but if you're going downhill and going pretty quick, that can be quite a menace as well.
Yeah, Big T had an accident on a skateboard out here in Santa Clarita back in the day.
Dude. Did you really?
Yeah, it was 8th grade, I believe.
Okay.
Came home from school, grabbed my skateboard, and I'm going down the hill on Pellico, get some good speed. I know
the
where I can
old
stop
side of
paddling.
Pellico, that's a hill.
Yeah. Coming down that hill, and I go across onto Cherry Creek, and there were some girls from my school on the other side of the street, so I kind of leaned over to check it out, and I took a mailbox right in the chest.
Bam! I remember you looked like Superman for about 2 weeks. All right, Big T, we got to get out of here. We got the Councilman Jason Gibbs coming up. Remember, Tony, you promised to be on your best behavior. Councilman Gibbs coming in next. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm joined in the studio today by show contributor Big T. Engineer Michelle, do me a big favor. Keep the volume on his microphone down for a while. Jeez, because
100%.
Yeah, 100% down. Because as you can hear, my next guest is Councilman Jason Gibbs. He is principal engineer of West Coast operations with the aerospace company GP Strategies. You know, SCVi's got an aerospace career technical education pathway.
Well, we
that
should
they
talk.
just
I need
launched
some
this
interns this summer.
Fantastic. Yeah, let's get connected. Anyways, that amazingly deep voice that you just heard belongs to the man that grew up in the Santa Barbara area, graduating from Bishop Diego High School and then Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where he earned his master's degree in mechanical engineering. Smart guy.
Go Mustangs!
This is where he met his future bride, Chandra, and somehow talked her into marrying him. And the two did what everybody else, every other young couple does. They turned their eye to Santa Clarita in 2012, where Jason quickly became involved in the community that he had instantly fallen in love with. He's volunteered on multiple nonprofit boards and for different organizations around town, such as the Boys and Girls Club, via the Valley Industry Association, and many more. He was elected in 2020 to the Santa Clarita City Council. Yeah, the COVID, the whole pandemic thing got you snuck in there. Where he served with dignity during his first term, which included a stint as mayor in 2023.
Dignity, Tony, did you hear that?
So much dignity that when he ran for re-election last year, nobody had the guts to step up and run against him. But I started ad-libbing your intro, and I lost my place. But here he is, everybody. He is Councilman Jason Gibbs. Welcome back to Eye in the Valley.
Thanks for having me again.
Hey, thanks for waiting to be introduced. Jason, you and I have gotten to know each other pretty well over the last few years.
Yeah, I've been very depressed about it. But
Yes,
that's okay.
I know you have. I'm a big Simon Sinek guy, so the why is a big thing for me. I love talking about people's why they do what they
Sure.
do, and you've got a great why. So you moved to Santa Clarita in 2012 and instantly got involved. But a career in politics is a different thing, man. You don't get much time to yourself. You don't get to even go to the AutoZone and buy a couple of quarts of oil for the car without being stopped by 3 or 4 people. So why do you do it? We know it's not for wealth and fame and things like that. Why did you decide to get into politics?
So, Matt, there's 2 versions of the story that are both true.
All right, let's do the radio-friendly version.
Well, they're both radio-friendly.
Okay, cool.
I mean, the short version was, as you mentioned, so Chandra was actually living in Costa Mesa. And she had started her first career down there, and then 6 months into her job, she got her dream job at Boston Scientific here in town.
All right.
So it was work that brought her here. And I had spent 10 years in San Luis Obispo going to school to Cal Poly, just off and on, working full-time.
You were on the 10-year plan.
I
Wow.
was the only one. And
Okay.
finally, they were finally getting ready to kick me out.
Okay.
And so I graduated then.
It's weird having 30-year-olds hit on the freshmen.
Well, it's funny you say it, so we're going to sidetrack now. I remember when I was 18, I show up to Cal Poly, and I go to the gym. And I remember there was an older gentleman running on the treadmill, and there was all these, young 20-year-old men and women running. I meant, man, what is that guy doing here? 10 years later, I walked into that gym, got on the treadmill, and I looked to my left and right, and I said, I gotta go. I became that guy. It is time to go.
I am him.
So,
but we were talking about your why. Why a career in politics? Why specifically the city council?
So the why was, for me, it was having a son. It was Chandra and I had our firstborn. And, I always tell that story. It was very true. It was probably September, October time frame. Aiden was a late August baby. I drew the short straw for diaper duty, 3 in the morning.
Yeah, that's
it's
a dad's
pitch dark.
job, yeah.
You're half asleep, changing a diaper. And Aiden reached up with his little hand and just grabbed my pinky. And it was a beautiful bonding moment. But it was a realization for me that my life of just Chandra and I and kind of living our day-to-day, doing what we want, had changed. And it was now about protecting and nurturing and bringing forward that next generation, in our case, for our family. Sure. And so that was for me the sign to say to get involved. Didn't think it would be politics. Was never really into politics other than Supreme Court cases and watching the news as I walked by the screens on the TV. But that was about it. But so for me it was Aiden, and that's where the nonprofit side, remembering my roots in the Boys and Girls Club and joining those organizations. The politics side, which is the other version of the story, was a friend of mine who worked for me, ran for city council in San Luis Obispo.
All right.
And he lost. He came in second to last.
Okay.
And we were chatting one day about the experience, and he goes, hey, now, by the way, we had an agreement that if I ever ran for office, you would run for office. And I said, oh, okay. I don't remember this, but okay.
Okay.
So I go to the city's website, and this is probably the December time frame or so, and the first thing that popped up was, do you want to be a city council member? And it was for Dante Acosta's vacant seat.
Okay, he had been elected to the assembly, left his city council seat vacant, and they had to appoint somebody.
And they started the appointment process. So I was one of the right about 50 people who applied.
Along with, I think it was Gary Coleman.
Gary Coleman.
What was it? Pink. And Schwarzenegger was in there. Oh, no, that was governor. Okay.
I forgot Gary Coleman did that.
Yeah.
But and once over the last few years, I actually went back and watched the old video of me showing up. And I'll never forget, it was my first time at City Hall. I believe Cameron was serving as mayor. He just got reelected and come back, I think, to the council. I knew nobody. Could not have told you where City Hall was. Probably couldn't have told you really what a city council does. Mm-hmm. And I just pulled in and walked into that room, and I was the only guy in like khakis and a polo, and everyone else is wearing suits, and they got speeches prepared. And I was like, well, this is different. Nope, got up there, gave my 3-minute speech, and that was kind of it for me. And I was just excited to watch. And it was Councilman Keller at the time who, read a list of names of people he was really impressed with, and I was one of them.
Oh,
and I was kind of blown away. I was like, I've never met Bob Keller. I don't know how this came out. So we met at Coco's a few months later or so, and we were just chatting about the future. And I love this story. And at the very end of it, he's getting ready to go. And I said, Bob, let me just ask you, what was it about me? I mean, you don't know me. All you had was a little resume, if you will. Okay. And Bob looked off into the distance like he does, and he comes back and says, Jason,
little eagle screeching in the background.
He goes, I'm watching the eagles. He's all, I'm worried about the future. And he said, my future is turning into oil at Eternal Valley. I just remember just looking at him, and he said, but we have a beautiful city. We have created something that really is amazing and wonderful for families. But it's time for the next piece.
Yeah.
It's time for people who want to do this. So if you want to do this, stay involved, get involved. And so I did. It just ended up kind of being both the non-political side and the political side.
Okay.
And just kind of wrapped into going from not knowing where City Hall was at January of 2017 to being elected to the council 3 years later.
Yeah. And we're very fortunate to have you there.
Thank you.
Now, Jason, you know our neighbors why, right? I believe it is roughly 60% of the folks have moved to Santa Clarita for the great schools. And we'll talk about the schools in a little bit, but another 30% or so either come here or stay here because we're constantly, among America's safest cities. It's one of the safest places in the country, in the world, in fact, to live. And I know over the last few years, crime has really spiked across the state, especially here in LA County. But what is the city council and city staff doing to help keep our community safe?
Yeah, crime and safety obviously has always been the number one concern for the city. And we're seeing the byproduct now of that 2020 time. With the BLM movement and the social change that came around criminality and policing, we saw the after effects of that for years. And for me, the hardest part when Sheriff Luna was elected, we actually went down and had a meeting, and our two big things was, look, we're your largest contract. We contract with LASD. We are the largest contract in LA County.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And it's very common that we will sit somewhere anywhere from, I think it's high 60s to low 70s of staffing levels. And our biggest thing is, look, we're your largest contract. This shouldn't be an issue to get staffing. But post 2020, they were the board had actually stopped with the classes for new deputies. Less people were going into law enforcement. More people were starting to retire out early because of the issues around policing at that time.
Well, it's always been a tough job, and at 2020 it became harder. So much harder.
And it became harder.
Yeah.
And we were still feeling the after effects of that. And even as it's turned around a little bit with the last election, I think it was Prop 36, really started to look and say, we have to hold people accountable to a degree. And while there's good to have a discussion about what accountability is, you still need to have it. And we started to see the needle move, but we are still reeling from that. So at the last council meeting, the council approved putting a letter out to the board to say, look, you really need to step up and support your deputies. We really need to do what we can for retention and bringing people on and protecting the most important thing that we do, which is public safety. I think in the long term, though, quite honestly, the conversation that's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years is going to be town policing. You're already seeing it in the Antelope Valley where they're putting together their own police department. Other cities have done it. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
It's very costly.
Yes.
There's the insurance aspect of it. But those conversations may have to happen if we don't see a reversal. So I hope the reversal comes because the contract is very beneficial to the city in a number of ways, not just financially, but we've had a great relationship.
Yes.
But those conversations will have to happen.
Yeah, we have had a great relationship. Another thing that's constantly on our neighbors' mind is growth. Right? And we talk about people that are coming here and people that live here. Those that are coming here are hoping our city is going to be growing and more building and more infrastructure. Those that are here are saying, no, slow it down.
Slow it down, shut it
off. Now that I'm here, what's the city council's priority? What's your philosophy when it comes to managing growth? And then, we'll talk about maybe how that will affect the education system.
Sure. I mean, it's planned growth, right? Okay. One of the beauties of this city, while we're still young, right, relatively for a city, the city was planned, and it goes back to the Newhall days of being a master plan community. That's where the brilliance of what Santa Clarita became was. Nothing is done without purpose.
Right.
Everything is done thoughtfully. And the biggest thing you read if you read online, it's no more housing, no more buildings. It's not a reality. It's not something that can happen, and it's for a number of reasons. And the biggest one being, even if the council said we're done, we're not building anything else, we're completely built out today, the state tells you you're not.
Right.
The state comes in and says, nope. And, we always talk about RENA and regional housing needs and affordable housing. All of those requirements still come down on cities. And now there's legislation that's been pushed the last few years that says if you're not meeting those obligations, well, the state's going to make it easier for people to come in and build in your city what they want, where they want, regardless of how you zone and how you plan and how you prepare. To the point of you don't have to have parking requirements, you don't have to provide infrastructure for your roads and your commodes and those types of things. And so we are always constantly balancing smart projects, good projects, and trying to limit developers that want to come in and say, well, the state says I don't have to do any of that, and I'm just building this big high rise, and I'm not building any parking, and best of luck to everybody. So the building happens. For us, it's just, is it happening in a smart way, a controlled way, and in a thoughtful way? And I feel like we have done that, but you always will have people that say, nope. Like my dad, he was, I was born and raised Santa Barbara. He said, I wanted them to close the doors as soon as I got here.
Yep, exactly.
I said, yep, as soon as you got here,
I'm
Dad.
here. Close the doors. Yep.
I see that.
Yep. And we're talking roads and commodes here on the Valley. Talking with City Councilman Jason Gibbs. Jason, obviously, our show's brought to our listeners by SCVi and iLead Schools. Public education is our top priority at iLead. And as I mentioned, so many of our neighbors have moved to Santa Clarita because of the amazing schools in our area. I know education is extremely important to you. You've still got two school-age kids.
I do.
Gosh, Aiden's grown like a weed, man.
It's not okay.
He's catching up to you.
It's not okay.
But even though our schools and our city government aren't directly linked, right? Schools are a state entity. Can you share how City Hall partners with our schools to improve the conditions for our students and really all citizens?
Sure. I mean, the simplest way I look at it, Matt, is the city's responsibility is to provide infrastructure and resources and space for people to thrive. And you're correct. Obviously we don't do the day-to-day learnings in the school systems, but when it comes to supporting our public education partners in terms of what we have for after-school programs, for what the city offers in terms of sports and education and Camp Clarita, we always try to offer possibilities to exist for kids when the school day ends.
Yeah.
And we've had times just recently with Saga School District. We were able to do a joint park venture on land that was owned by the elementary school, by the school district, but the city was able to come in and build the park, and we were able to do it. I think it was cheaper, and there were less restrictions, if you will, because you didn't have to go through the state architect and some of those things. But that was perfect, and it's there for the kids during the day, and then it's opened up for the public when it's not in school session. Things like that is a perfect example.
Very
Wonderful
innovative
example.
flex space,
Yes.
where it's space for the school in the daytime and then for the community after school.
100%. And I think down the road, obviously gym space and floor space is always needed. And I think there'll be opportunities for partnerships when, a lot of times our fields are all booked up and there's desire for more and there's desire for more gym space. I think those opportunities exist and should be explored.
Our city government is so innovative, and we're going to talk next break about some of the ways that y'all are doing some incredibly creative, unique, innovative things that most cities aren't even thinking about doing that are really improving the lives of our citizens. But we're talking a little bit more about education. I noticed on social media you were at an event the other night on April 1st. I wasn't able to be there, had a school board meeting, but otherwise I would have been at the Leap Museum's fundraiser. And so I just wanted to plug that a little bit. I know you've been a huge fan of LEAP. Is that something that, for our listeners, there's a grassroots group that's trying to get a children's museum built in Santa Clarita. It's a crime that here now, 35 years after our city's birth, we still don't have a children's museum in town. We're still busing our kids downtown for their field trips, taking them downtown in the weekend. Is that a partnership that the city has officially established yet? I know you and a lot of other council members are huge fans of the LEAP Museum.
We are, so not officially with the city,
okay.
But so I had the privilege to be the title sponsor, just me as a council member.
Fantastic.
And so it wasn't from the city standpoint, it's just from me. And it's two big reasons for me. My dad was the first in his family to go to college. And he was always a believer that education was the game changer for him, for getting out of poverty, for getting out of, a difficult position that he grew up in and becoming successful. So his whole goal in life was to put his kids through school because he knew that was the game changer.
Sure.
And as I look back on that, I know that there are kids who won't have the opportunities that I did, and my opportunities came because of my dad and my mom and their hard work and the sacrifices they made. So I saw when I met Carrie, her heart and soul is into this.
Yes.
And you can see that there is nothing going to stop her. And if someone tells her no, she says, no problem, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And her resiliency was so strong on this mission that for me, so I have someone who is so passionate about this, who wants to bring education and opportunity and learning. In a day, kids always, kids these days, they have it better. It's the old comment they always say. Well, they have new innovation and technologies, right? And if you just look at AI as an example, you can ask any question and get it answered. But we need to teach kids not just how to get an answer, but teach them how to ask the question that hasn't been asked yet.
Right.
And it's an organization like LEAP and those opportunities to put your phone down and turn your brain on and think and not be thought for you. is really going to be a game changer in the educational world. So I personally was a big fan of LEAP. The kickoff was great. It was a wonderful little event. They had Chris from who does performance at the Magic Castle.
Yeah.
A great kickoff event for them.
Yeah, and then they're going to be doing their second annual pop-up museum
pop-up.
at the mall this summer. That's going to be title sponsored by iLead Schools again.
I love it.
Perfect partnership with Leap Children's Museum and iLead Schools. We're talking to Councilman Jason Gibbs, husband, father, community volunteer, second-term city council member, and general man about town. More with the honorable council member when we get back. I am Matt Watson, and Big T is behaving himself quite well in the studio this morning. And this is SCVi and iLead Schools' Eye on the Valley, and you're listening to your hometown station, KHTS.
La Esmeralda is home to truly authentic Mexican food. This family-owned restaurant prides itself on its fresh-to-order menu. Even the tortillas are made in-house. If you have a taste for sizzling fajitas, flautas, or menudo, you have to try La Esmeralda's Mexican and Seafood Restaurant. Dine in or order out for the most authentic Mexican food Santa Clarita has to offer. Their Taco Tuesdays, it'll turn you into a regular. La Esmeralda on Bouquet at Haskell.
Marston's Restaurant has been a Pasadena landmark, voted the best breakfast in California by the Food Network magazine. Discover Marston's Santa Clarita location, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Marston's also has a fantastic catering menu that adds a delicious twist to any event. And they cater picnic dinners for that memorable romantic date. Experience Marston's on Newhall Ranch Road and McBean, or log on to marstonsrestaurant.com.
Is your child ready for something different? Discover iLead Exploration, a tuition-free TK through high school home study charter serving students of all grades in Southern California. We see your child for who they are and use a fully customized approach that complements their strengths and interests for a unique educational experience. Our flexible curriculum allows students to focus on the passions that drive them while developing academic skills to prepare them for a lifetime of success. Learn more at iLeadExploration.org.
Welcome to a new era of business banking with Mission Valley Bank, where personalized service meets your unique business needs. We go beyond the basics. We know your name, understand your business, and are committed to your success. Our banking solutions are designed just for you. Whether you are a resident, a small business owner, or a large corporation, Mission Valley Bank provides a customized suite of skills and services. While technology streamlines, it never replaces the personal touch. At Mission Valley Bank, you're more than a client. You're a partner. Experience the difference today. Mission Valley Bank, where your business is our business. Visit missionvalleybank.com, member FDIC.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi and iLead Schools' Eye on the Valley. I am joined this morning by Councilmember Jason Gibbs. Councilman Gibbs, you and I like to joke around. We were joking around during the commercial break, but we are honored to have you here on the show again. But before I start back up, Big T was bugging me during the commercial break. Big T, do you have a question for Councilman Gibbs?
I actually do. So, Jason, any good manager is always concerned about recruitment and retention. So certainly you and the city work hard to attract new families to Santa Clarita, but what are you doing to keep the 40-plus year residents from moving out of Santa Clarita into other states? No offense to the Sturgeons.
Oh, good reference.
Oh, you know, talking about Mr. Sturgeon, I hear those long-term residents that move out of state typically do so because they lost an election.
Only one.
Again, my apologies to Mr. Sturgeon.
And Mr. Watson.
That's right. Tony left too.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I lost, but I didn't leave.
No, you stuck
I
around.
lost my very first one.
See?
I guess I was stubborn.
There you go.
I mean, it's a very fair question, Tony. To be honest with you, it's something that on my day job, to set the politics and the city council aside, I struggle with that every day. And you know, it's not just. Everyone thinks it's a political right versus left battle when you talk about the difficulty of business in California. It's challenging. I had a number of engineers. I've had people who are small business owners who do take that move. Some of them still operate a business here, but they pick up and they find their retirement home already. They're going to Tennessee's, the Ohio, Idaho's, the Carolinas now.
Texas
are becoming in Texas because it's where the dollar goes further for them. And I think you're seeing it more, right? If you go back a few years, there was a piece of state legislation that wanted to tax people who retired out of, I think, the PERS system and then moved to another state. And the argument was, well, you made your money while you were in California, and if you leave, we have the right to start taking some of that money back.
So they're doing that for PERS, not STRS.
I hadn't heard
right?
it for STRS yet.
Okay, hashtag asking for a friend.
And I don't believe it went through, right? But the discussion is happening.
They're trying to keep me from moving up next to you, Tony.
I hear you.
I said he sponsored the legislation. I think is what I heard. But so from a local standpoint, our big thing is we control what we can control.
Yeah.
And we believe that if you create a space that is pro-family, that is safe, that goes through all of the, as Bob Keller would say, the mom and apple pie pieces of Santa Clarita, there is a drive to stay here for that. But we need other agencies. We need a atmosphere that says you need to be able to provide opportunities for people at different levels that helps facilitate what Santa Clarita is trying to do.
Yeah, it's just like work, right? It's culture, it's opportunities.
All of it.
It's the way you're treated, the way you feel, your security.
All of it.
Boom. And, speaking to that feeds right into my next question. And it's, we talked about that innovation and things that our city's doing to make this place a richer place, a more comfortable place to live. Since we became a city in 1987, our city has taken on what lesser cities might consider extra.
Sure.
Like the local theater and the libraries, the ice skating rink, the soon-to-be historic property just down the road here.
Yeah.
So let's take those one by one. Can you tell me why each of those is so important that we take them on as a city, and then how our neighbors benefit? Let's start with what were formerly county-run services. I'm talking about our libraries, and then Hart Park.
Yeah, so the libraries was before my time, but it was recently it came up in discussion, I believe, with Councilman McLean. And the comment for the city standpoint was, hey, have we ever looked at being able to run our own libraries? And so when they looked at it, there was a belief from the council and staff that said, well, yeah, not only could we run them, we could do it more efficiently at a lower cost and provide a better service to the people of Santa Clarita. And that was all what the driving goal was. And that's what happened. Now the cube is the interesting one because that did happen. It was decided before I came on council, but I got the benefit, if you will, of being able to be there when we took it over.
Right.
That was not an easy one. And I do give council at the time, Mayor Miranda, a lot of credit because you had the community that was coming out saying, hey, this is a very important asset to all of us. It wasn't a cheap endeavor. At the time, I believe the purchase was somewhere around $12 million during COVID.
Yeah.
During a time when things were going down, and here
if
you have
private business couldn't run this profitably, how is government going to be able to do it? Yeah.
And the reality was, I think even staff went, whoa, you really want to do $12 million? Is that really a good idea at this time? And the council said, yeah, it's a good idea. This is an important place. So they started digging into it, looking into it, and said, you know what, there is something that can be done here. We think we do have a way to make this viable and not just make it a place that's constantly costing money. So the city went through the purchase. And then from an infrastructure standpoint, I mean, there was stuff it needed. So again, I give staff big credit for this. We did a big green energy program here in the city, one of the largest, somewhere between, I think it was $25 to $30 million. And you think of your solars and you think of your energy efficiency pieces. One of the reasons we did it wasn't just a green energy's great move. It was to get in under the old NEM system, under the net metering system.
Okay.
And because we did it at that time, we were able to stay before 3.0 to the point where you had better benefits coming back. And so we're actually going to have a system where in 7 years, I think it was about 7 years was the estimate, we would become neutral on the upfront cost because of the savings that you get to take in because you got under NEM 2.0. And we're able to leverage that for improving infrastructure pieces at the cube, including the refrigeration systems, the roof, the solar pieces there. So the staff was able to upgrade that facility that the private sector probably couldn't have to keep it going when he was already struggling. So we're taking a venue and just upping it. And then being able to partner with ASEC, now you have the Kings involved, and you have UCLA's coming up here to play hockey.
Bruins.
So this is remarkable. So you guys are actually doing work, not just having coffee and donuts at those meetings.
That is correct. Every once in a while.
Wow.
Well, maybe staff's doing work, and I just take credit for it.
Well, there you go. Those donuts aren't going to eat themselves. So, but talking about the Cube, I read a story the other day. The management is looking for a restaurant partner for that upstairs grill. Does the city have anything to do with that, or is that all management?
I mean, it's all through ASEC now.
Okay.
Right, it's through the partnership there. But the city's obviously involved because ASEC is who we partner and contract with for the day-to-day management of the Cube and the operations. But I know that probably saw in the back there where the meeting room is now, they actually put in a bar, a little bar area.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's TVs everywhere. All the sports games are on, and it's warm. Otherwise, we go through that door, it gets a little chilly.
It does get chilly when you're watching the live
But
games.
you can literally go out and watch the UCLA games, then walk back in and get a drink and get snacks.
Yeah.
I love it.
I hear they're putting the Portos up there is what they're doing.
Hey,
right?
hey. Here we go with the Porto stuff.
There we go. He's the one.
Did you see the stuff on April 1st? They said Portos is coming out to Sand Canyon. Believe me, the phone was blowing up.
Absolutely. Jeez. Look at a calendar, folks. Look at a calendar. So, we took over the libraries from the county and are running it with better services more efficiently. We took over the ice skating rink from private industry. We're running it better and more efficiently. We took over the local theater from private industry. We're running it better, more efficiently. So what does City Manager Ken Striplin have his eye on next? I know a few years ago we were talking about our own health department. Is that still in no?
I don't think that's on his eye or his radar.
Okay, so he's looking at taking over the local radio station.
But well, he does have a podcast now.
I did see that. Yes.
But I just noticed he hasn't invited me to be on yet. I don't know if he's listening out there.
Well,
But
you got your A-listers and your okay.
Oh.
You got your A-listers.
So I shouldn't wait by the phone.
No, you should not, Big T.
Well, obviously the next big one that we've been working on for a couple years now is Hart Park.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal for a number of reasons, and it comes back to what you were saying, Matt, in terms of being more efficient. I mean, we have a vision for what we want that park to be, and unfortunately, again, post-COVID, under the guise of the county, there's just been a lot of maintenance that has been left, a lot of improvement, and it's been so sad because that museum's been closed for years.
Yep.
And that is the center point of the heritage of Santa Clarita.
Yeah.
And I give absolute respect and thanks to Supervisor Barger for making that leap to be able to say, hey, let's figure out how we can get this over to the city, because I think she knows that it means that much to us and that we're willing to put the time, the effort, and the money in to bring it up to the standard that is Santa Clarita.
Yeah. You got to partner with my buddy Evan Decker. He's out there every day. SCVi graduate, by the way.
Hey.
Yeah.
Is he still doing tours at the barn?
He is. Yeah, Evan's a great guy working with the local historical society. Speaking of Hart Park, you know, one of the things that I love about Santa Clarita is you don't have to worry about your social calendar. You just pull up the city's website, see what's going on, and get there. You guys are always throwing a party.
There's always something
Always
to do.
putting something on. Last night, we started what everybody's annual favorite event is, the Cowboy Festival.
Cowboy Festival.
Started off here at the Main with the
Yep.
one-man show on called Cody, An Evening with Buffalo Bill, and that runs through the weekend.
Love it.
And we've got events going on all weekend long. Are you taking the kids to Cowboy Family Night tonight?
No, but I'm going tomorrow. I think they're playing at 11 o'clock. The Storytellers. I
Yes.
think is one of the Bluegrass bands.
Oh, the Storytellers are good.
Very random. The guy who started that band was my freshman basketball coach.
Okay.
Our X
Yeah.
number of years ago. I had no idea that he did any of that.
Yeah.
And he randomly reached out, I think it was last year, and said, you know, Jason, any way you could put us in touch with whoever we want to come play?
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'll put you in touch, and best of luck. And they came, and he said, and that's what I give staff so much credit here. He came up to me after and said, Jason, we have never been treated with so much respect. It was so well run, so well organized. It was one of the best experiences we've ever had just as a band coming to play.
Did he say anything about the MC on his stage?
Well, he didn't remember him. I told him the guy used to be kind of important. And then he said, wait, was that Tony's brother?
Yeah. Yes.
Elizabeth's
yes.
son.
Yeah.
Elizabeth's son?
No. Come on. I'm Scott's uncle.
Scotty's uncle.
Yes.
Scotty's uncle?
But no, yeah, the Storytellers were fantastic.
Love
and I
'em.
really loved emceeing one of those stages last year.
Are you going to get to MC this week?
You know what? I'm not. Tony and I, believe it or not, are getting married this. We're going to be in a wedding. We're not getting married. We're going to Vegas this weekend. So, yeah, we're going to be in a wedding. We've got the world's biggest tuxedos in the backseat of my car right now. But we're talking about all the events that the city's putting on, and I noticed something new this year, and I don't know if this is the first annual or a one-off, the Mayor's Cup. Is this a real thing, or is this just Bill Miranda's way of using
I don't know. Hold on now.
Okay.
What's the Mayor's Cup?
You don't know what the Mayor's Cup?
I'm not the mayor, so I don't get the
you're
inside
not
track
the mayor.
on these things anymore.
It's a boxing tournament.
I did hear about this.
Okay, so is this just Bill using city money to get kids to punch the daylights out of each other, or what's the deal?
Wow.
I mean, Bill mentioned it 2 council meetings ago.
All right.
About this coming into town, and another avenue of providing opportunity for kids to come out.
Yeah.
Like you said, releasing energy, if you will, but controlled.
Well, but building careers in the sport too. Yeah,
absolutely. In fact, I think he even got one of our dentist friends, Dr. Graywall, to make custom mouthpieces or to build mouthpieces.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so a dentist who's supporting boxing matches. I get it. It's like the same way when she supports Halloween candy give-outs. I'm like, it seems self-serving, but I appreciate it anyways.
Absolutely. And the local body shop advocating for getting rid of the stop signs. Yes, I like it. Fantastic. All right. Big T, you got anything else, or are we just going to add, we're going to do Big T's 6 minutes of fame?
That'll work.
6 minutes of fame.
All right. I don't know, unless you've got something else that we're missing today.
I don't think so. Did you run out? You guys got 2 computers here. I feel kind of left out without a computer.
All right.
You want one?
You want one? Well, we've got to have somebody tell us what to say. So, yeah, I did have a couple other questions, but I think I'm going to skip those. Councilman Gibbs, you have been so gracious with your time, and since you put up with him for this long, can you tolerate Big T for one more segment?
Of course I can.
All right, I love it. You might regret that, because the next segment is Big T's 5 minutes of fame, where he's got trivia and fun facts. You're used to that. But, Jason, have you heard the life tips that this guy has been given recently?
No, but I'm nervous if the last board operator bounced.
Well, yeah.
No, we have some actually listeners that have written in some life tips this week that I've got. So
okay.
Ooh.
Okay, because as Jason referenced, Engineer Jen not only quit, but filed an HR complaint on her way out the door regarding your life tips. So you that are listening are probably at a safe enough distance that you can stick around, but it's going to be fun. Tony's got trivia, he's got fun facts, he's got life tips, and he's got Councilman Jason Gibbs with us. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and we are having far too much fun in the studio today. I am here with Councilman Jason Gibbs. But Jason, enough about you. It is time for Big T's 5 minutes of fame. Y'all know Big T. He is an executive and a philanthropist. He's an amazing father, husband, and dog dad, and yes, Duke, he still loves you. And in the world of at-bats, he is a foul ball, but he is Mom's favorite. Big T, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matty. Thank you. Feel like I've been here all day.
Yeah, seriously, all day. It started early for us. We, Jason, I don't know if you know, but we kidnapped Delgado's show this morning. We just rolled in at about 7 o'clock and said, "Move over, big man, we're on."
We exceeded the weight limit in this room.
I'm just going to sit here quietly for a moment, gentlemen.
Delgado was a little bit nervous. He figured with us walking in,
what was happening?
He was getting fired.
Well, that's why I wore my Dodger shirt.
There we go.
You guys posted the picture, and he had his Dodger jersey on.
Absolutely. All right. So, Jason, you've played before. Tony's got some trivia questions. He's got some things before he gets to the trivia.
Okay.
But when he does get to trivia, he's going to have questions for us. If you know the answer, you're going to hit your buzzer by calling out your name.
Gibbers.
There, Gibbers. All right, I like it. I will be calling out Frogger for whatever reason. And Engineer Michelle, you can play along as well.
Of course. I'd love to play along.
All right, fantastic. But you at home, you can get the drop on us. You don't have to shout out your name. Just shout out the answer. But we got 3 smart folks playing here today, so I don't know how well you're going to do. Let's see. But Big T, what have you got for us?
So I got some life tips like I've been bringing. You know, one of them, get your wife to lower her expectations. It makes your marriage a little bit easier. Makes you look like a rock star, right?
Here.
Yeah.
But I actually got. I mean, it's been a popular segment. I've actually got some emails from the listeners that have been sending stuff in. So I've got some of their life tips.
All right.
The first one is from a local politician and writer, a Bill M. from Santa Clarita. His tip is, after eating jalapenos, wash your hands before using the restroom.
Good tip.
Yeah.
Good tip.
This next one, it's from Jason Gibbs. Hey, that's you. It says, squeeze some lemon juice into your kid's water gun and tell him to aim for the eyes. He should have plenty of opportunities to get off multiple shots after that first one lands, right? Hey, if life gives you lemons, you know what I mean?
All right, King's X, Aiden, King's X.
And this last one, it's from a Chris Gadboys. Don't unfriend people who have different views than you. Piss them off until they unfriend you.
Okay, so you're getting emails. This one just came in on the Facebook Live feed, Tony. This is a tip for a successful marriage. Jason, you're a married man. You might want to check this one out. Don't ask your wife when dinner will be ready while she's busy mowing the lawn. Yeah. All righty.
Jason, are you allergic to something? It looks like your eyes are watering a little bit over there. All right, are we ready for some trivia?
Shout out to listener Nancy on that last one.
How long will this show be on?
Not much longer.
There it is. Okay.
We only got about 10 more minutes.
In, right?
All righty, first question. What are the next two numbers in this sequence? 3, 6, 9, 12.
Frogger. 15, 18,
Perfect.
21.
You didn't have to. All right, what's the mathematical term for a polygon with 8 sides?
I know all the numbers.
Gibbers?
Gibbers.
Octagon?
Octagon is correct.
I know all the numbers.
What's the next number in the sequence? 1, 4, 9, 16.
Gibbers? 25?
25 is correct. Nice pull.
Oh, wow. You're going to have to explain that to me after the show.
It's math.
What is
It's a square root, right?
It's math. That's what it is.
It's math.
What is 9 multiplied by 5? And then you add 2.
Frogger. 47.
47 is correct.
Taught me some third grade.
What's the next number in the sequence? 2,
Oh.
5, 8, 11.
Gibbers?
Gibbers.
14, 17?
Nice pull. Nice pull.
Going for extra credit.
All right, switching off of math.
Please.
What country is Mount Kilimanjaro located in?
Frogger. Kenya?
Incorrect. Anybody?
Why is he Googling this?
I'm not good. I'm keeping score. You see, right
It's
there.
actually
Frogger,
Tanzania.
Gibbers, and Michelle.
It's what?
Tanzania.
Yeah, Tanzania.
That was
I
my
knew it was in
second guess.
Africa.
All right. What country is famous for the ancient ruins of Machu Picchu?
Michelle, Peru.
Peru's correct.
Well
Nice.
done.
I can't Google that fast. Come on, Michelle.
What do the
right.
5 interlocking rings of the Olympic flag represent?
Frogger.
Oh.
I believe it's the 5 participating continents.
That is correct. The 5 participating
I thought you were going
continents
to say
coming
onion
together.
rings.
Well, iLead's theme this year, we have a theme every school year. Our theme this year was built around the Olympics, and we had 6 rings for our 6 schools.
See, you got
So that's how I knew it.
Perfect. We're going to have a little fun with some brands. So I'm going to tell you the brand, and you tell me the
Oh, no, Tony,
either
I don't-
logo or
I didn't
mascot
have my brand this morning.
associated with
Oh.
it. I know.
Okay.
All right. First one, Izod Lacoste.
What?
Izod
Frogger.
Frogger.
That's an alligator.
That is an alligator.
We
The
Froggers
alligator
don't
on
like
the
them
little
alligators.
Polo.
Gibbers?
Gibbers.
It's like a dude on a horse with a polo stick?
That is correct. That is correct.
Try putting that on your business card.
All right. Red Bull.
Frogger.
Frogger.
It's a bull, right? A
2
red
bulls. We'll
bull.
give it to you. 2 bulls.
Okay.
2 bulls.
Disney.
Gibbers. Mickey?
Mickey Mouse. Yes.
I was just
Playboy.
Disney.
Michelle, Bunny.
A bunny. Correct.
What's
Wow.
Playboy? Hey!
They used to have it back in the day before. Never mind.
All right. So after the show, you can explain to me math, and I'll.
Off air. Got it.
All right. Tommy Bahama.
Oh.
Frogger.
Frogger.
That'd be a palm tree.
Incorrect.
Michelle, a surfboard?
Incorrect. I should have won one. A marlin.
Oh, yeah.
A marlin.
Like a swordfish.
I thought that was a baseball player.
No, it's a little clownfish.
Starbucks.
It's the youngest of the Williams brothers.
Gibbers. It's that queen-looking lady.
Frogger?
I don't know who that
I'm
is.
playing. I was going to say, if you give it to him, I'm playing this one under protest. Is a mermaid.
It's a mermaid. Mermaid is correct. All right. Frosted Flakes.
Gibber.
Michelle, Tony
Gibbers.
the Tiger.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
We'll
sorry.
give Michelle.
Yeah, it's
a
all
point.
good.
There we go.
Merrill Lynch.
Frogger.
Debt.
Okay. That's bull. And that's bull. It's a bull, right?
It's a bull.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bacardi rum.
Michelle, it's a bat.
It's a bat. Correct.
Okay.
I knew you had no chance to get that
I was
one.
like, sober living.
What is rum?
I was going to say,
Sober living haunts me again.
I used to know it, but I forgot it. I forget it every time.
All right. Hollister.
Frogger.
Frogger.
Isn't it like a wave?
No. Seagull.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
You were close.
Yeah.
Ferrari.
Frogger.
Frogger.
It's a big old stallion going.
Yep.
Okay.
Stallion horse. Duolingo.
Michelle, it's an owl.
It's an owl, correct.
Oh, check it out, Michelle.
Lamborghini.
Frogger.
Frogger.
It's like a little Italian man, isn't it?
No. It's a bull again. A lot of bull going on this morning.
A lot of bull in the studio
lot
today.
of bull in the studio.
You know, I think
How about
I
a
heard Jerry
real
say
exotic car, like a Volkswagen Scirocco? Come on.
NBC.
Frogger.
Rainbow? Oh, shoot.
Frogger.
Peacock.
Peacock's correct. All right, I'm going to give you a song lyric. Name the artist.
Oh.
Is this the real life? Is
Coachella's
this just fantasy?
Oh, Frogger.
Michelle.
Frogger.
That's Queen.
Correct.
Yeah, Michelle had it first, but that's okay.
It's whatever.
No problem, Matt. Just,
We're throwing the rules out the window today. It doesn't matter.
About the volume.
All right, song lyric. Name the artist and the song.
I'm going to have to wear the cone of shame.
Look, if you had one shot or one opportunity.
Eminem.
good.
Sorry, Michelle.
Michelle.
Eminem. Lose yourself.
Perfect.
Well done.
Nice.
Please don't forget to hit your buzzers before chiming in.
My name's just Eminem. Just letting y'all know.
Oh, okay.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
All right, name the
Michelle
group.
Mathers.
Name the group or artist based on these songs. Car Thief, Girls, Brass Monkey,
Frogger.
Frogger.
The Beastie Boys.
Beastie Boys is correct.
You're nothing but a car thief who must be stopped.
Name all three Beastie Boys.
Frogger.
Nope.
Frogger.
Okay, so I got Ad Rock, we got MCA, or
Correct.
Adam Yout, and I got Mike D.
Mike D in the house.
Is your name Michael Diamond?
All right, name the artist based on these songs. Seven, Housequake, Raspberry Beret,
Frogger.
Michelle.
Frogger.
That would be Prince.
That would be Prince. According to Eric Clapton, who's the greatest guitar player of all time for no points?
Frogger.
That would be Prince.
Yes.
Correct. Name
No,
that.
it wasn't Frogger. It was Prince.
They asked Aaron Clapton what it's like to be the greatest guitar player of all time, and he said, I don't know. You should ask Prince.
You can't ask him anymore, though.
Yeah,
That's
no.
true.
All right.
You can, but he won't answer.
Name the artist. Your Love is Driving Me Crazy, Heavy Metal, and I Can't Drive 55.
Michelle. That's
Michelle.
Sammy Hagar.
Sammy Hagar. Good
Good
pull.
pull. That is not a 28-year-old trivia
All right,
question.
Jason. you got-
Funny story. My dad was in an accident in the 80s. He's fine now,
Okay.
but he was listening to Sammy Hagar when he crashed. So
yeah.
that's why that exact cassette. So
I
One
didn't
that's
know
foot
why
on
I
the
know
brake
that.
and one on the gas?
Yeah.
All right. In the movie Cars, what is the name of the main character voiced by Owen Wilson?
Michelle. Lightning McQueen.
Lightning McQueen,
McQueen.
yeah. Wow. What color is SpongeBob SquarePants?
Michelle.
Oh,
Michelle?
Yellow.
Yellow.
nice.
That was a 28-year-old question.
In the Smurfs, what color are
We
Papa
call
Smurf's
we
pants?
call this category
Oh,
potpourri.
Gibbers. Red?
Red is correct.
Are they?
Yeah.
wow.
Right?
I don't know.
What color is Scooby-Doo's collar?
Michelle. Blue.
Blue. Yep. What color is Dora the Explorer's backpack?
Oh, sweet hell.
Michelle. Purple.
Purple. We got some cartoon fans in there.
Wow. Michelle's putting on a sneaky comeback.
It's our 97 babies, you know?
There we go.
What was the original purpose of the tiny pocket in jeans?
Oh, I had an inappropriate response.
Frogger.
You were on the air, so-
Right?
Those
put
have
your
expiration
silver
dates,
dollar
by
in
the way. Incorrect. It's for your pocket watch.
Yeah, of course.
The purpose you were thinking. I think those things have expiration dates on them too, don't they?
Thank you for knowing where I was going, Tony.
Who was?
Gentlemen, just so that you both know, I don't use pocket watches.
I've heard that. Who was the first woman pilot to fly solo across the Atlantic?
I don't know.
Hold on.
It's off the rails.
Amelia Earhart. Gibbers, Amelia Earhart.
Givers. You want to go back to that?
No.
Follow-up question. Why?
Because I know what time it is, that's why. Engineer Michelle's telling us 2 minutes, or Engineer Michelle just said, peace out, I'm going.
Yeah, I'm out of here. You're running the board now, Ryan.
All righty. Like a 401k, what does IRA stand for?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Individual retirement account.
That is correct.
Tony, do you participate in the 401k?
Yeah, I was reluctant, though, because I didn't think I could run that far.
And there was recession so bad, it's a 400K now.
Correct.
All right, maybe 2 more, Tony.
In which country was Adolf Hitler and Arnold Schwarzenegger born?
Frogger.
You.
Frogger.
Austria.
Austria is correct.
I hate that you knew that before he said the second person, but whatever, we'll talk about that later.
John F. Kennedy was assassinated in what city?
Frogger.
Oh, come on.
Frogger.
Dallas.
That is correct. On Sunday, the 18th of June, 1855, what famous battle took place?
Say it again.
Sunday, the 18th of June in 1855, or
Frogger?
1815, excuse me.
1815. That's a whole different story. Frogger, that'd be the Battle of New Orleans.
Incorrect.
Oh!
Gave
Anything
myself
else?
a point. Gotta erase it.
Waterloo.
Waterloo. Okay. And with that, Big T, we've got to wrap it up. I did take the victory, but Michelle, valiant effort. Gibbers, way to go.
My microphone was busted.
All right. Thanks, Big T, for being here. We want to thank our guests, Chad Powell and Martha Spansel-Pellico, directors of SCVi Charter School, the private school with a public school price. Santa Clarita Council member Jason Gibbs, producer Sarah, engineer Andrew, engineer Michelle, and thank you for listening. Remember, friends, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Be well and do good. And join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station. Let's get out of here, Big T. Let's go to Vegas. We'll talk to you next week. KHTS.